Hi, I'm Greg Sherman. The 20-teens was a great decade for Reagan Rattler athletics. The football team won 4 straight district titles in the middle part of the decade, while volleyball, soccer, and baseball each made at least one appearance in the 6A state championship game. Basketball, though, didn't have quite as much success. The girls did make it to the state semifinals in 2012 and won 32 games the following year, but had been in the middle of the district ever since. The boys finished in the middle of the district throughout the 20-teens, either just getting into the playoffs or just missing out. As the calendar turned into 2020, both teams hoped that a new decade would spawn new success and be the building blocks into the future.
Don't be mistaken. Just because we want to be sprinting back on defense doesn't mean we want to walk it up. On all misses, let's go. No personnel. Know how we're guarding, doesn't matter what we're in, and then value the basketball. We've got to limit turnovers.
One thing is that, you remember how we played Johnson the first time? Yeah. That's how it's going to be at the beginning of this game, I think. Okay, kind of working off some nerves, kind of working off that extra adrenaline.
Work hard.
The 2020 Reagan Rattler girls and boys basketball teams both set high expectations on their seasons. Neither had had a lot of success in the latter part of the 20-teens, and each hoped a new decade would lead to new opportunities. The girls had had 3 straight losing seasons and had not won a playoff game the previous 5 campaigns. The boys looked to build off a 20-win season in 2019 and for their first postseason win in 3 years. The so-called experts wrote down their opinions for the public to read, but the Rattlers showed why predictions, polls, and rankings were nothing more than food for the paper shredder.
We've been putting in the work every day, all day, and we keep shooting, we keep getting better and better, and I think it really shows.
We do have more players that came to Reagan, and they're new, and they're just more skilled than I guess the last year's team, and we work good together because we can communicate and just have a lot more IQ together.
The girls knew early on they had a chance to do a lot more than just end their streak of losing seasons. Some thought having a 6'1" freshman starting forward, a 6'4" sophomore starting post, and a sophomore starting guard would lead to a struggle just to get into the knockout rounds. Any concerns of that happening ended early when they beat the defending 6A state champions from Converse Judson right before district play started. That win propelled the Rattlers into 27 6A play, where they were only threatened one time, but rallied from a double-digit fourth-quarter deficit to beat Madison. They went into the second Churchill game at 10-0 with a chance to do something not even the 2012 state semifinalists did: sweep the Chargers. The game itself was never in doubt, as Reagan held Churchill to 5 points in 2 of the 4 periods. 4 players hit double-figure scoring, and 2, freshman Samantha Wagner and sophomore Christeen Iwuala, had double-doubles. The Rattlers beat the Chargers 55-39 to clinch the district title in a runaway, not just on the scoreboard, but in the district standings table, winning the title by 4 games.
They had a girl face guarding me the whole game and doubling me with the ball, so when our other players started hitting open threes, that forced them out of it, which was let me be able to score in the second half, but I trusted them to keep us in the game and keep us winning in the first half while I was being double teamed. We just had to communicate the whole time we're on the floor so we know where to go on the court and just know where the shooters are. I've been on varsity since sophomore year, and both years we weren't like that good, you know, like our teams weren't as skilled as we are now. So it's a great accomplishment for me as a senior.
Connection that we build with the ball and knowing where everybody is at, that kind of just plays into us like scoring and knowing what to do and making it seem effortless. The communication, knowing where we are on the court and knowing which passes to make and talking on defense and offense, just reflecting and just talking.
I think it was just knowing that we had a good team this year, and Wimbush coming into practice, pushing us every day, telling us that we have the pieces this year to win a district championship and to go into playoffs and to make a run.
Last year's district title hopes were blown out by losing 3 players to knee injuries. This year's team needed 3 wins to do something the program had never ever done before: finish district play without a loss. While the girls were in control of district play wire to wire, the boys fought inconsistency all season. At times, their season was a blur as they struggled to put a win streak together. On the flip side, they never had a losing streak either of longer than 2 games. 12 of their 14 district games were decided by 10 points or less, and 2 went to overtime. They were in a 4-for-2 battle all season long with South San, Madison, and Churchill in a race that didn't end until the final night of the season. Speaking of Churchill, the Rattlers were in need of a win to stay in the 4-way race when they faced the Chargers for the second time in district.
Use ball fakes, right? Let's don't just telegraph passes. I don't want a careless turnover against the 2-3 zone. You can dribble and challenge the gap, jump stops, use a ball fake, and then we'll get it where we want it to go. All right?
Trey Thompson, appropriately in jersey number 3, lived up to his name and his jersey number. He hit 4 triples while Keith Davis went 9 for 9 from the foul line. Both had 18 points as the green team held off the black team for the season sweep.
Last week we had a tough one against Johnson, and it really kind of got us down a little bit. To come out in this game and really just take over and to come out with a win really helps us with our spirits and gets us up.
We hit big shots when we needed to. We had a couple turnovers, but towards the end of that 2-3 minute stretch, we kept the ball in our hands and played good, hit big shots. Just keep focusing. We put in more work than they have, and just we've invested more time than probably anyone in the district, just every day getting up and getting shots.
The next stretch tested that positivity. They blew a 16-point halftime lead and lost to Madison, losing both games to the Mavericks, then turned around and faced Roosevelt, led by Rashad Owens, one of the best all-around athletes in NEISD in recent times. The Rattlers had trouble slowing him down, though. Reagan did lead early thanks to a slew of threes, but Owens was a master of the rims with an early alley-oop slam, and Roosevelt led by as many as 12 in the 4th period. Then the Rough Riders went to the stall, and Reagan nearly made up the deficit, but time ran out on the Rattlers as they fell 1 point short, 44-43. What neither team knew as they walked off the floor was that it was Reagan who would have the momentum even in a defeat. The Rough Riders fell flat after that near 4th quarter collapse, losing 3 of their final 4. The district raced to Johnson and then were knocked out in round 1 of the playoffs.
Roosevelt's one of the best teams in the district, and to have a close game like that, it definitely, despite the loss, it can definitely give us momentum playing good against a team like that into the playoffs.
All season it's been 2 wins, 1 loss, or one win, 2 losses. I think after Roosevelt, after a really close loss, we realized that we really need to get this thing going. Playoffs is coming, and it's either we win or we go home.
After beating MacArthur in a shooting struggle 37-34, the Rattlers' playoff fate came down to the season finale against South San. Win, and they would advance to the knockout rounds. The girls were 13-0 in district heading into their finale against Lee. Win it, and they would complete their first ever perfect district season in the program's 20-year history. All along, district play had been a bed of roses, and while the Volunteers were already eliminated from playoff contention, Reagan still had to make sure the roses didn't wilt in Lee's de facto state championship game. The Volunteers hit a couple of early threes to stay in it, but the Rattlers were too quick, too poised, and too tall for the Vols. The girls went on an extended run to lead by 11 at recess as they closed in on their dream of a perfect district season. In the second half, Reagan kept pushing the ball faster, stronger, and harder, and Lee was left in the sweaty dust. The lead swelled as high as 22 points. The final seconds ticked away, and Reagan had their perfect district season, and they ended the regular season with 15 straight wins.
We need to pick it up together because we can't let them get back into the game so we could win. I just feel like our team, we bond really well together. We have like a really good bond together, and we just play good on the court with each other.
Our communication, we decided that we needed to talk. We couldn't let them get back in the game the way that they did, and we needed to shut them down. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we try to work off of that, and we do have a very good bond. Like, we know each other inside and out, inside of basketball, outside of basketball, and we just work with each other very well.
For the boys, their season came down to a home game against South San, a team who beat them earlier in district. Win in, lose, and a play-in game would be required with the Bobcats and Churchill, who upset Roosevelt in their district finale. The game was a microcosm of both teams' seasons. Both built up big leads, both lost big leads. Early on, South San banged home 3 after 3 after 3 and built up an 11-point second quarter road lead. Needing a second half rally, the Rattlers answered the bell. However, the Bobcats came back, hit a miracle 3 as time expired, and went to extra time. They didn't know it, but Churchill had won, and if that 3 clanked away, the Bobcats would have been eliminated. Reagan, though, made sure that 3 was nothing more than false hope for the blue team. 3s, dunks, and layups by Reagan put South San away in the 4 minutes of extra time. The 71-65 win resulted in Reagan's first 3-game win streak of the season, which resulted in South San's 5th district OT loss, which resulted in Reagan clinching a playoff spot, which resulted in South San being eliminated, which resulted in Churchill taking the last spot, which resulted in happiness in the Reagan locker room.
You guys showed some grit, some toughness, some 4-1, okay? It was awesome. It was beautiful to see that. You guys competed hard in a playoff atmosphere.
They hit a shot to send it overtime, and we did just the opposite. You went out there and got control. You got stops when we needed to get them. You got rebounds when we needed to get them. We had clutch free throws when we needed to hit clutch free throws. We made some mistakes, but we overcame them. You were mentally tough tonight, and I'm damn proud of you. Damn proud of you.
We knew South San was going to be a little bit more of a run, and I think coming out tonight with the crowd that we had, the great support that we had behind us, I feel like that helped us a lot secure a win.
All throughout the season, we've been in tough situations, been in valleys. You know, it just felt good because we worked so hard, and you know, this was really the game that pulled us together going into the playoffs.
Our team as a whole came together and played at a certain level that we haven't played all season, and I believe that tonight it showed.
This was a little personal to come out and get this win.
Both the boys and girls were on their way to the knockout rounds, where each looked for that elusive playoff win and building towards the future.
I feel like we really need to step up here coming into playoffs. Since we didn't have such a challenging district, we need to step it up for playoffs coming up. We just got to stay focused and not worry about the losses. We just need to play hard like it's our last game.
It's a playoff game, you know, and both teams are good teams, so I mean, they're not going to be calling it as much when it's in the paint. Fouls are not going to be as much, so I mean, you just gotta have to play really, really smart.
It's definitely given us a look about what we need to fix and what we need to be looking forward to for the rounds that we're going to be facing.
This team, we're fighters. You know, we're not just gonna get blown out and just give up. We're gonna try to fight back as much as we can.
It's definitely exciting. You know, our coaches, they work as hard as anybody to get us good preparation and scouting reports for any team, no matter how good they are. But it definitely gives us some excitement playing that good a team.
Good luck.
Reagan's first-round opponent was one not familiar to the Rattlers nor the knockout rounds, the Holmes Huskies. They were making their first appearance in the tournament since 2007, while Reagan looked for its first playoff win since 2014, when future Green Bay Packer Ty Summers was still at Reagan High. The Huskies were led by D1 recruit Lene Wheaton, a key coach Selena Winbush stressed before the game.
We want Lene to be a jump shooter, okay? If she starts getting hot, I'm trying to run her legs as much as possible so she won't have much legs for a shot. So whoever's guarding her, y'all can take turns. I really don't care how y'all do it, but I want y'all to pick her up kind of early so that she has to work the entire time.
Early on, Reagan forced the pressure and forced her into a turnover, which Kelsey Hawkins, the other starting sophomore for the Rattlers, turned into points. The sophomore enjoyed the knockout round spotlight. She scored 5 of her 8 points right out of the gate to get the NEISD team started. Reagan's speed, combined with Holmes' inexperience, led to a quick 18-9 lead before Wheaton finally got going and Reagan got into foul trouble. A pair of 3-point plays, one natural, one unnatural, sparked a 15-2 run that gave Holmes the lead early in the second quarter. She had 17 points, but no other Husky had even half that total as they became one-dimensional. Reagan could have panicked, but instead played smarter and faster at a pace the Huskies were unable to keep up with as the half wore on. Reagan only led by 6 at recess, but the defense suffocated the Huskies in the second half, which included a 4-point third quarter as Reagan ran away from Holmes. Wheaton, meanwhile, only scored 7 points after recess. She could not single-handedly carry the Northside team to victory.
We just had to tighten up on defense. We tried to double her going into the second half, and we just really had to tighten up, and we know that she's shifty, so we couldn't fall for her easy shifts.
Christeen had kept us in the game. We knew that since we were a bigger team that Christeen might get in foul trouble, so we just needed to come together. Basketball is a game of runs, so we knew that it was our turn to make a run, and we just needed to put the ball in the hole and get some stops on defense, and I think we did that pretty well.
The Rattlers shot 57% from the field in a 68-51 win. Wagner and Wilson each had 20, while Iwuala had 16, as Reagan won their first playoff game in 2,196 days.
Really thought, like, going in, I was gonna feel, a little intimidated, but it was just like another game, and we just try to all get hype, and it's my teammates that make me feel comfortable.
Naja's a big piece of this team. She carried the team today, especially in the beginning of the game when we needed her.
The boys were in a bigger battle in their opening round game against Warren, a team who hadn't won a playoff game in 5 years. The previous 2 times the teams met in the knockout rounds, each team won 1. The winner advanced to the state semifinals. Warren won 16 district games, but was not the district champion out of Northside. The Warriors opened the contest on a 13-2 run, and the Rattlers were forced to play from behind the entire way, but did make a move. They used their own 13-2 run to pull within 1 in the second quarter and led briefly in the third. But the Warriors hit a pair of buzzer beaters. The first one at halftime was more for show. The second one at the end of the third was a back-breaker. That one sparked a 19-2 run through the fourth quarter as Warren hit 5 3-pointers in a 4-minute span to run away from Reagan. The Rattlers played hard, but time ran out in their season 67-56 as they finished with a record of 20-13. Will Karsten had 17 points and 15 rebounds in his last game, while Zach Lee added 10 in his finale. The girls advanced into round 2 to face Steele, a team that had thrashed the Rattlers the last 2 times they played. The combined point differential was 80 points, including a 43-point loss a couple of seasons ago. The Rattlers remembered that and were not scared. The first quarter was good news, bad news for Reagan. The bad news was it took Reagan almost 3 minutes to score a point. The good news was they held Steele to just 4 first-quarter points as the Knights came out shooting colder than an Alaskan winter. But the Rattlers knew a run would come from the SCUC ISD team, and alas, it came. The Knights outscored Reagan 20-14 in the second period to pull within 2 at recess. The Rattlers would eventually have a 41-38 lead heading into the fourth period. The third quarter was evenly played, and the Rattlers would take a 41-38 lead heading into the final period. That final quarter started off with an Iwuala block that sparked a fast break and ended with a Wilson layup. Another Wilson basket grew the lead to 47-41 and forced a steal timeout. The fans were excited, but the lead was short-lived. Back-to-back three-pointers by Bria McClure retied the game up and left the Knight faithful thinking another win over the Rattlers was in their future as Reagan kept turning the ball over. As it turned out, Reagan didn't use layups or a hail of threes to respond, but rather free throws. Many of them came from senior Juliette Martinez. She hit 6 of them in the final 2.5 minutes to help the Rattlers pull away. Plus, they turned off the turnover machine.
It's very important that we make our free throws because that can dictate whether we win or lose a game. And in practice, we practiced a lot of free throws just for games like these, and we had to make sure we clutch them up and make all of them.
A Wilson layup from Iwuala put the finishing touches on a 61-55 win and a trip to the tournament's second week thanks to their 17th straight win.
Sam really helped us keep our composure. She kept telling us, play our game, don't worry about everything else, just keep playing how we play. Played it how it came, keep going over the screens, keep trying to fight over to get over the shooters, and that's pretty much it.
That win earned Reagan a trip to New Braunfels to take on Austin Westlake in round 3 with a chance to reach the regional level for the first time since their state semifinal season of 2012. Most had the Chaps pegged as the regional favorite to reach the Alamo Dome. Westlake beat Reagan by 30 points back in November. The Rattlers did their best to hang around with a senior-laden team that faced a lot more pressure than the younger Rattlers and played better than the earlier meeting. The San Antonio team stayed around and led for a good chunk of the second quarter before Westlake's speed on offense and full-court press on defense forced too many turnovers, and the Chaps went on to win 59-45 to end Reagan's turnaround season.
Our kids, we didn't execute our game plan with getting back in transition. We were taking too many gambles with trying to steal the ball in the backcourt, and it cost us. I felt like we had nothing to lose, and they had everything to lose because they're a senior-led team, and we're a baby team. These young kids are getting some really valuable experience because making it to the third round is not easy. And so they'll be able to kind of calm down. They'll remember this experience and learn from it and do better, I believe.
Even though the season ended at 29-8, the Rattlers have a lot of youth coming back with 3 starters who will be sophomores or juniors and only have to replace a pair of senior guards and might be the favorite along with Converse Judson in 2021. Some news and notes from the season. The girls won 17 games in a row before the loss to Westlake. That's the second longest win streak in the girls program history. They won their first 18 games to start the 2012-2013 season, where they finished 32-2. Speaking of the girls, they will carry a 15 regular season game win streak over into next season. That's the second longest in school history. They won 21 regular season games in a row, spanning the end of the 11-12 season and the start of the 12-13 season. The boys did not have a 3-game losing streak at all during the season, the first time they've done that since the 16-17 season. The boys and girls combined for 49 wins this season. That's the most since the 2011-2012 season when they combined for 56 wins.
When the ball is on the weak side, you're flashing the high post, okay? Make sure you get... Why y'all acting all nervous? It was
Any secrets about your father?
He's really a big teddy bear. No one really knows that. At the house, he's pretty nice and soft sometimes, but he comes off as pretty hard and aggressive a lot.
Both teams will have to replace key senior starters as well as bench players if they want to make a deeper playoff run in 2021. The district will look a little bit different as Northside ISD split sends Brandeis and Clark in with the other 7 teams in NEISD. The Brandeis boys made it all the way to the state semifinals in 2020, while the Clark girls have been to the state quarterfinals 2 of the last 3 years, and the Brandeis girls are a perennial playoff qualifier. Both Rattler teams, though, hope that their success in 2020 and their youth will build off into more success and deeper playoff runs in 2021. I'm Greg Sherman.